In today's video, we'll take a thorough and detailed look at the economic plans of two prominent figures, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Before we dive in, let's be very clear about one thing. This is not a political video. My goal is not to share my personal opinions or advocate for any side. Instead, I want to equip you with the information you need to better understand where each candidate stands on key economic issues. This video will walk through the policies that directly affect you, including some income taxes, inflation, affordable housing, Social Security, prescription drug pricing, trade, and immigration. We'll dissect each candidate is proposing and compare their approaches. So let's jump right in. At a time when it seems that politicians disagree on almost everything, one of the few areas where both Trump and Harris find common ground is the issue of federal income taxes on tipped income. Now, this is a major issue for workers in the service industry whose livelihoods often depend heavily on tips. So, Trump first floated the idea back in 2023 during a rally in Las Vegas where he suggested that tipped income should be exempt from federal taxes, including Social Security and Medicare. He argued that it's unfair to tax the income that people earn through tips, stating that the service industry workers are often taxed twice, once their wages and again on their tips. Kamala Harris quickly endorsed his proposal, although Trump accused her of copying him. Regardless of the political theatrics, the fact remains that both candidates support this change. However, it's crucial to note that this policy would require congressional approval, and while both candidates may agree, the legislative process is notoriously unpredictable. Inflation remains one of the most pressing economic issues of our time, while prices for everyday goods and services continue to rise. This is where the two candidates' plans begin to diverge dramatically. Now, Kamala Harris's approach focuses on what she refers to as corporate greed, mainly in industries that affect day-to-day living expenses like food and groceries. Harris proposed giving the Federal Trade Commission the authority to crack down on companies that are engaging in price gouging, which she believes is a key driver of inflation. She argues that by targeting corporate practices, we can alleviate pressure on consumers. On the other hand, Donald Trump's strategy is based on deregulation and boosting domestic energy production. His belief is that by removing the regulatory burden on businesses and increasing oil and gas production, we can bring down prices across the board. Trump's favorite slogan, we're going to drill, 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 baby, drill. Now, this captures his approach succinctly. He argues that more domestic energy production will lead to lower costs for transportation and manufacturing, ultimately reducing the price of goods and services. Now, it's fundamentally different than what Harris is proposing, relying on the free market rather than government intervention to combat inflation. The United States is facing a housing crisis with home prices skyrocketing and affordable rental properties becoming increasingly scarce. Both Trump and Harris recognize the severity of the situation, but their solutions differ significantly. Kamala Harris has outlined a comprehensive plan that aims to make housing more accessible for first time buyers. Her proposal includes $25,000 in down payment assistance for first time homebuyers and a $10,000 tax credit for middle income buyers. Additionally, she's advocating for tax incentives to encourage builders to focus on starter homes, which are becoming less common in today's market. Harris's plan also includes repurposing federal land for affordable housing developments and expanding incentives for affordable rental housing. In contrast, Trump's plan on affordable housing focuses primarily on cutting regulations, which he believes are driving up the cost of housing. Now, Trump's proposal includes reducing mortgage rates by controlling inflation, cutting back on federal regulations that affect the housing development, and opening federal lands for private development. While Harris focuses on increasing access to housing for first time homebuyers and renters, Trump's strategy is more geared towards reducing costs by easing regulatory restrictions. The contrast in their housing prices is striking. Now, Harris is focused on direct financial support to individuals and builders, while Trump's approach relies on market driven solutions to reduce housing costs. For anyone looking to buy their first home or find affordable rental housing, it's important to understand how these different approaches could affect the market. One of the most notable differences between Trump and Harris and their stance on income taxes is the fact that Trump's legacy in this area is the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act, which brought about significant changes to tax code. These tax cuts are set to expire in 2025, but Trump has pledged to make them permanent if reelected. In addition, he's promised to introduce further tax cuts for both individuals and businesses. Now, one of Trump's major proposals is to make Social Security income tax free for all retirees, not just those under a certain income threshold, which would be a significant change for older Americans relying on Social Security as their primary source of income. On the other hand, Harris has pledged not to raise taxes on anyone earning less than $400,000 per year. Instead, she aims to expand tax credits for working families. Her proposal includes increasing the child tax credit from $2,000 to $3,600 per child, up to $6,000 for newborns. Now, Harris also plans to expand the Earned Income Tax Credit (EITC), which could give additional financial relief to lower income families. Her tax strategy is designed to provide direct benefits to working and middle class families rather than focusing on tax cuts for businesses or the wealthy. International trade is another area where the two candidates have starkly different views. Donald Trump has been vocal about his support for tariffs and on foreign goods, particularly those coming from China. He advocates for tariffs of 10 to 20% on all imports, with even higher rates on Chinese goods, arguing that this will protect U.S. industries and bring manufacturing jobs back home. His supporters believe this approach strengthens domestic industries, but critics warn that tariffs often lead to higher prices for consumers and potential trade wars. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, has not focused on heavily on international trade. However, she has made healthcare, specifically lowering prescription drug prices, a key focus on her economic plan. Harris has pledged to cancel medical debt for millions of Americans, remove it from the credit reports, and negotiate directly with pharmaceutical companies to lower drug prices. One of her most significant proposals is to expand the current $35 monthly insulin cap for Medicare recipients to all Americans. For families struggling with rising healthcare costs, this policy could be a game changer. Now, immigration is another area where Trump and Harris have sharply different positions. Trump is consistently advocating for stricter immigration policies, arguing that undocumented workers drive down wages and take jobs from U.S. citizens. His immigration plan includes mass deportations, expanding detention centers, and continuing construction on the border wall along with the U.S. Mexico border. Trump believes that by curbing illegal immigration, wages for American workers will rise and job opportunities will increase. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, has recently taken a tougher stance on immigration, supporting measures to secure the border but opposing family separation to mass deportations. Harris believes that while the border security is necessary, it should not come at the expense of humanitarian considerations. She's also expressed support for paths for undocumented immigrants currently residing in the United States, mainly those who were brought to the country as children. As we wrap up this analysis of the economic plans of Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, it's clear that their approaches to the U.S. economy are distinct and reflect differing ideologies. From immigration to income taxes, these two candidates offer contrasting versions and visions for the future of the country. Trump's plans rely heavily on deregulation, free market solutions, and tax cuts, while Harris's proposals focus on government intervention, financial assistance, and corporate accountability. Understanding these plans is crucial as they have a direct impact on your wallet, whether through changes in taxes, inflation control, or access to affordable housing. My hope is that this breakdown has provided you with a clear picture of where each candidate stands and how their policies could shape the future of the U.S. economy. Now that you've got the facts, you can make an informed decision about which candidate's vision aligns most with your own economic priorities.